Welcome all to the sixth part of the series Begin Right, where we are exploring the parental role in a child's education. Let us take a small detour which will be extremely enriching and guiding for parents. The Da-Vincian Intelligence. We all know Leonardo da Vinci was a multi-talented personality of 16th century. He has demonstrated his excellence in so many fields like painting, drafting. He was a well-known scientist. He was a theorist, sculptor, and an architect as well. He has developed a very systematic method of developing intelligence. Let us take a look at it. Our purpose of this whole series and discussion is to make our children successful and happy both. The Da-Vincian model of intelligence puts forward many aspects that will support this mission of ours. It states that intelligence is not fixed at birth, something that we usually mistake for. Intelligence is immutable. It can be brought in, it can be developed. Yes, genes account for 48% of intelligence, no doubt. So, the intelligence of the child is already decided at birth, but that is only 48%. Let us say half part of the intelligence. But the remaining 52% of intelligence is all dependent on the prenatal care, the environment, and the education that we give to the child. I like to underline that education is in the broader aspect that we are thinking of over here and necessarily does not mean degrees, schools, colleges, etc. So, here's a good news for all of us who feel that we are not born intelligent or our children are not that intelligent by birth. That will take only the 50% part of their total intelligence. The remaining 50% and a little more, let us say, can be developed if we take a very systematic approach towards building the intelligence of the child. Geniuses are not born more, they are made more. Isn't that a very cooling sentence? We can make our child a genius. Intelligence is in every cell of our body, and every child is intelligent, and his intelligence is unique. He is the only piece of the jigsaw that will fit in the slot made for him. And our journey is to navigate our child to the slot that is made for him. The Da-Vincian model talks of 7 steps towards developing intelligence, not only in a child, any individual of any age, and he will be able to take himself to an upgraded form or an upgraded version of himself if he systematically works through these 7 steps. These 7 steps are curiosita, demonstration, sensation, sfumato, arte scienza, corporalita, and cognition. Let us take a very brief look at each of the steps. Step 1. curiosity. It is very important to know that this is a step-up program and each step leads to the next step, all together making an excellent workable plan for meticulous workers. Developing curiosity. Do we really have to develop it? We all observe that our children have immense curiosity in each and everything around. They keep handling things, they want to handle things, they wish to explore things, they wish to ask so many questions to us all the while. It takes a lot of patience and determination to constructively cater to their questions and to help them go a step ahead with their curiosity. We must teach them to ask right questions, or we must teach ourselves to ask right questions if we really wish to explore our curiosity, and that essentially leads us to the second step. Once a person is curious about something, he would always want to take some experience or to do some experiment to further explore his curiosity and find out things. This is where many of us restrict our children. But if we give a correct channel to their curiosity, if we let them experiment whatever they wish to. Experiment does not necessarily mean lab apparatus and doing something and adding something to something. Experimenting is trying out different things. If the child is wishing to do something, it is like a small experiment he is doing, and correctly encouraging that becomes the next step. Let the child take his own experience. Let the child experiment and let the child develop his own system of responses. Remember, how much ever you want, we cannot teach the child the softness of grass and the sharpness of knife. He has to experience it, and only then he will be able to build his own judgment system, which becomes one of the most essential part of his first phase of life of 0 to 5 or 0 to 7. The so-called third step can actually even lead to the second step backward, because experimentation or the wish to experiment something can also come from some of the sense experiences that an individual gets. I listen to something and that develops a curiosity in me to do something. So it is like a loop. I see something and then I feel like doing something to learn more. So step 3 can take us back to step 1, leading to step 2 and making a loop, and then the experiment will lead us to further senses. And a very amazing concept is put forward over here, that is of merging the senses. Looking and listening at the same time, or sensing and smelling at the same time, and that leads to a higher level of output of senses. These are very subtle things and they definitely need a lot of thought and a very, very conscious, in deep intention of parenting or developing oneself. A very different concept is also put forward over here, crossing of senses, like to learn to see with ears and to learn to listen with eyes. This definitely may sound a little weird, but deep thinkers will indeed enjoy this idea and would like to build on it further. Am I right? And then, once these steps, step 1 leading to step 2, step 3 leading to step 2, or step 2 via step 1, and all this again coming to step 3, develops a basic mental program to work on something. And once we make our mind to take our child on that path or to take ourselves on that path, it is like ready, steady, go, zoom, going up in smoke. That is literally burning yourselves out to maximize the experience, to make the most of it, to push yourselves to your limits. And at this level, sometimes a paradoxical understanding is developed. We develop an experience where we experience extremely opposite senses merging into one another. This is, of course, a little profound or a more higher level output of sfumato, which may not come out for a child, or even if it comes out for a child, very few children will be able to put it in words. But this indeed is a sublime level of sfumato, to experience joy in sorrow, sorrow in joy, life in death, death in life. And this wholeness of experience leads us to the fifth step. Once we have thrown ourselves into some task, we actually lose everything besides that subject. In developing intelligence, at the higher and higher levels, a holistic thinking, a whole brain thinking, or a bird's eye view of that particular subject is developed. Normally, we think that the left brain is responsible for logical thinking and the right brain is responsible for artistic thinking. But once we have taken ourselves through the first 4 steps, we learn or we develop the knack of blending these two aspects, the logic and the artistic nature. They both go hand in hand and create a wholesome experience. Leonardo da Vinci was an expert in this. He explained art scientifically and he put scientific facts artistically. And that exactly happens if we also emerge to this level of developing intelligence. And this is, of course, the prelude for the next step of intelligence. Poise, grace, perfection. Isn't that the next step of excellence after a whole brain or a holistic thought? Once I have perceived something from every angle, now I need to present it with extreme perfection and completely aesthetic. This is called as corporalita. The next step in which also Leonardo da Vinci was supposed to be a master. His persona, his presence, used to make people around him mesmerized, spellbound. And once you have taken complete mastery in something, that automatically happens for people around you. The way you present things, the way you undoubtedly exhibit your mastery, automatically creates the poise and the grace. And yes, the correct learner, the honest learner is always very, very humble. And ultimately, when I have achieved a pinnacle in some, let it be very small topic, I would like to underline here that this is not something very big. We can take ourselves through these 7 steps, even for the smallest things in our life, the smallest art form, or the smallest discipline, or the smallest concept which we like to expand, explore, look into our lives. If we take a systematic approach of these 7 steps, we will definitely land in a better place. So once we have achieved a pinnacle, now it is about expanding circles. When I reach a certain height, I see someone else also standing at the same height on some other mountain. It could be a mountain similar to the mountain I am standing on, or it could be different. We can think of shaking hands. We can think of expanding, exchanging ideas, debating at times, and enriching ourselves and enriching the understanding of the topic. It also needs an ultimate self-analysis. Go back to step 1 if required, because after attaining something, a right learner, when he impartially analyzes his work, may find some basic flaw in his first question that was raised. And if he is patient enough to walk down those 7 steps and climb them up again, he will definitely lead to some better height and a wider platform of understanding and cognition. A very brief look at the Da-Vincian flow of developing intelligence can be like this: curiosity or sensory experiences leading to experimentation, leading to the zest of giving your best, attaining a whole brain approach, fine tuning and perfecting things, and then expanding. This can apply to the smallest things around. To grow this ultimate experience, one has to look within, ask some questions, seek answers, analyze, contemplate, face oneself fearlessly. The ultimate analysis of the self, done by the self to the self, leads to the ultimate pinnacle of a person for the time. This is a very, very systematic approach, and we may take it as a 7-day program, make our own notes, make time-bound plans of developing these habits or these steps in our life, in our child's life. And indeed, this will lead to a child whose genius is unmasked, sharpened, and much, much better than what it would have been without these programs. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching this video.